Hello, everyone. You're again with the Circle of Hope pastors. We're doing our best to answer questions that people actually ask us in 9 minutes or so. So today we're answering the question, what do I do when someone on the street asks for money, which happens to all of us on occasion in the Philadelphia metro. Johnny, you were just saying before we went live that you were just asked for money. So what do we do?
I think it's a great question. I think even that we're talking about what we should do shows that the poor are with us and we're trying to respond to them in some way. I try not to get too prescriptive about these things because a kind of law about it or some legalism about it doesn't always help. So my instinct is to say, do what you like to do. Discern the situation, see where the spirit's moving, and make a choice. I don't particularly think there's anything wrong with saying no or saying yes or pointing someone in the right direction for resources. There's a variety of ways you can respond. But my instinct is to say, actually use your instinct in the situation. God gave you some discernment that I think you can use and not feel guilty about regardless.
Yeah, I like your Johnny, how you're pointing people towards having a human interaction rather than just have a policy so you don't have to relate. Because once you start relating and connecting, I mean, the question depends on who's asking also a lot. I mean, for a lot of people. A funny thing I think right now is we want to know, or a lot of people want to know what the money is to be used for, which is sort of like, giving somebody a Amazon gift card or something, but giving them like okay, but this is only for, electronics, or having some kind of thing that, we want to be helpful. Don't want people to, well, we don't want to enable people in potentially bad behaviors, but I mean, most people asking for money you know, are poor. So I like to deal with that poverty in a human way. That's a good start, Johnny.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Nate.
well, one thing that I often tell people is do the most loving thing that you can do in the moment. And sometimes that just the financial interaction, that may be the most loving thing that you can do for someone who is in need. You can spend time with somebody, if you could take them to get a meal, if you could stay and pray with them, all of those might be loving too. Directing them to where they might get their needs met, that might be the most loving thing too. But I think sometimes we get caught up in the guilt of, I wanted to do something, but I was late for my appointment, and now I feel bad about myself. And I think you're trying to do the best with what you've got, and giving them the most love you can in the moment, I think is often a good strategy too.
Yeah, I think that I'm hearing the loving, doing what's relational makes sense to me. I used to, well, I still am, but I used to see a dear friend who worked for Project Home for years and ended up in Montgomery County, um, leading their homeless efforts, and she told me not to give money to people on the street. She said, for one thing, the people who are panhandling, like at the corners and stuff like that, out in there by the big intersections or something like that. I mean, people have already proven that those people can make like $300 a day doing this. They're like professionals, and the people who know homeless people, none of their people that they're working with, that they're actually are the authentic homeless people, are out panhandling for the most part. That's not what they're doing. So that's like either a habit or a racket. And she said, don't do it. You're usually contributing to some behavior that you don't want them to do anyway. She said, call Project Home's outreach number. That's what you could do the best. Just carry that number with you and hand that out, or call them and say, I'm want to help this homeless person. Can you come help me help? If you really want to get involved. So I've kind of followed her advice. The other thing I heard you saying was about, a lot of it's about judgment. This whole discussion ends up being about judgment. I judge the poor people as being needy or bad or something like that, and I just said they're probably going to, use it on alcohol anyway. So that's one thing. But then Nay was saying, and I go back and I feel bad because I didn't give somebody money because now I'm a bad person. Whenever I feel like I'm in a situation that's all about condemnation, I usually think I better come up with a better solution because satisfying the condemnation somehow, I'm probably just on the wrong wavelength. I could pour a lot of money down that condemnation hole and probably not solve their problem or mine. It probably is better.
I've heard similar advice. I have a lot of friends who are involved in homeless outreach, homeless advocacy, a lot of people that work for Project Home or Pathways to Housing who say giving may contribute to a problem that you don't want. One person even said, you're helping the person continue in that behavior, and our whole work is to get ourselves out of business. We want to stop advocating for homeless people because we want to end homelessness. That's the goal. And so I've heard similar advice to what you're saying too, and I've responded to it generally in the same way. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
I like too, Rod, that you were saying you carry Project Home's number with you. You have the information. There's a good website out there. It's I think it's homelessshelterdirectory.org, and that has by location all of the services in an area. So if you live in a particular area, you might want to know what's the closest place for a need to get met.
Yeah, on Project Home's website, it's the Where to Turn brochure.
Yeah.
And it's the number is 215-232-1984. So that's one way to go.
Yeah, there's also a lot of people who are asking for money aren't homeless either. And one thing that turned my thinking was an experience I had when back in the day of payphones. So just teleport with me back in time. I was at 10th and Locust, right outside of our first location, and I had to make a phone call, and it was 35 cents at that point, and I only had a quarter and a nickel. So I needed 5 cents to be able to call Martha about something. I must have asked 20 people for a nickel. And eventually I'm showing them the money, right? I have money. I need 5 more cents to make a phone call. Please, could you help me? And to have them be dismissive so much of sorry, oh yeah, I'm not gonna connect with you because you might scam me or something, taught me something about just being on the other side. And then recently I was with a friend at Second and Chestnut. We had lunch down there at this place that I would recommend that I won't mention, but coming out, the dude starts saying, my car's out of gas. The parking authority is walking down the street. They're going to put a boot on my car. Can you help me get some gas? And he's looking for money, but I didn't even connect that, right? Because as soon as he said gas, I was like, dude, my car is right around the corner. Do you have a hose or a tube or something? Because I'll pull right up. We could siphon it out. It's kind of gross, you got to suck and get a little gas in your mouth, but we'll get the gas in the car and you can do it. And I was totally just serious and sincere and didn't even think oh my gosh, he wanted money. But then he's like, nah, that's all right. And after my friend was like, wow, that was really clever. And I was like, no, I was just thinking about how to get his car started because I didn't get into the whole, do you really need a train ride to Westchester and does it actually cost $28 or whatever, weird story that you're getting. Because I think that's right. That's the other situation is people that aren't necessarily begging for change, but have some kind of narrative that they want you to help get to their mother who's dying out in Pottstown or something.
Yeah. Well, one time, and when speaking of 10th and Locust, one of my cell members did bring a homeless person with them that they met on the way to the cell meeting, and still have a long-term relationship with this person who didn't quite get out of their addiction, but over the years, which is decades now, did get in and out of a lot better situations because he used to just go to jail to get clean, and we got him connected with better systems at least that did keep him from dying quite a few times.
The old silver and gold have I none. I like that.
if you end up giving to someone who is asking for it outside of the Reading terminal market, like I often interact with, I hope that isn't just the end of your good work or your activism. You know, you could just conclude saying, I did my Christian deed today, and now I'm free of any responsibility because I gave someone a quarter. I think that the work we're doing in Circle of Hope gives you more of an opportunity to help those in need, and so make you more of a participant than just making a random decision in a random situation. And so I think we have opportunities for people to participate in homeless advocacy right here. Not just because we have a lot of social workers that work among us, but we actually have people that are advocating for the city to put more money into the Housing Trust Fund, which goes to homeless prevention specifically. So there's a lot of practical ways that you can serve and actually give your money to us, and we can use it to help alleviate poverty in the city.
Well, our community itself is an antidote too, because people need a connection with Jesus Christ and the faith community to get strong. They don't get strong by getting a few bucks. That's the American delusion, you know, that they actually could get the American dream, get your own home, your own job, and your own money. Well, then you're free, right? I just don't think that people who are homed are that free either if they don't have Jesus and don't live in with God's people. So
Yeah.
give them that.
Yeah.
But if you carry a couple singles with you, you know, and somebody asks you randomly give them $1, I think that's okay too.
Yeah, I usually turn to Gwen and she gives it to him.
Yeah.
Well, good work, guys. Thank you for the discussion. There's plenty more to say. I appreciate the fact that we're trying to make it relational and ultimately connect people to Jesus. So thanks for watching this video. Like it, share it, ask more questions. We'll love to answer them. Thanks for being with us. Peace.